You've heard of house hacking. I bet you've never heard house hacking Chicago style. Today, I'm sitting down with Shan. And guess what? This guy is a house hacking extraordinaire. In just 18 months, he's done over 10 deals, 25 doors. And that's over $7,000 in cash flow. Today, we're gonna sit down and figure out his secrets. Let's go. So we're in the studio. This is Andrew Holmes from Chicago RIA with Shan, and this is house hacking Chicago style. So Shan, let's kind of go back to the beginning. How did this whole journey start exactly?
So I got married in October 2017, bought my first house hack, a fourplex, in March 2018. And
Hold on. Before you kind of move on, right? Because we're calling it house hacking Chicago style, right? Which is kind of two concepts that you combine into one to get the results you've gotten. So first, I want to talk about what exactly is house hacking. For people in the audience, right, what exactly did you do in your particular case? What is house hacking?
So house hacking is basically you buy a 2 to 4 flat, you live in one, have your tenants pay off your mortgage all day long. What I did was I bought a 4 flat because that's the highest leverage I could get, had tenants on top of me, below me, and had them go to work all day long.
So all day long, right, he's getting his tenants to basically pay for him to live for free. So the property that you bought it in Chicago,
correct,
right? For the audience, kind of approximately what price range?
It was a bit expensive. I didn't come to Chicago RIA before that. Right. It was $495,000.
So about $500,000 to buy the property for. And then here's kind of these are some key points, guys. How much did you put down to buy that property?
You won't believe it, Andrew.
Okay.
I put down 5% down.
5% down. So you basically used an FHA program, right?
Correct.
First-time home buyers program to buy into a house hack, right? So you go in with a very low down payment, and the beauty is that your tenants are paying for the property. Not only that, after you're done paying, I mean, even after you pay your mortgage, you still have cash left over every single month, correct?
Correct.
So that's number one, right? Now, what did you want to do next?
See, the problem was house hacking was awesome, but I didn't know how to scale up, correct? That's when I came to Chicago RIA, met Andrew and Rahul, and then one concept that really stuck me was 257. 2 years, buy 5 properties, have them all paid off in 7.
Okay, so 2 years, 5 properties, have them all paid off in 7. So you got stuck on 257 cash flow for life.
Correct.
Right? And what was it that you wanted to accomplish? I mean, what is your goal? You and your wife are relatively young, right? What is your background?
I'm an IT technology professional. My wife is a pharmacist. My goal is...
Indian people have 4 professions, right? You either go in medicine, you go into IT, or Dunkin' Donuts, or otherwise you really, if you can't do anything, you open a gas station, right? So you pick the first 2, right? But in all seriousness, right? You guys are relatively young, right? You're in your 30s, you get married, kind of the normal thing. And for whatever reason, you were focused, right? And what is your goal? Like, is there a goal in terms of age-wise you have a goal that you want to get to? What exactly are you trying to get to?
So goal is next 10 years I want to retire, correct? I don't want to run the corporate ladder anymore, and possibly get on to 100 properties, 100 rentals, mix of multis and single family houses.
Got it. So hold on, because this is a lot for people to take in, right? So we always talk about this concept, which is 257, right? Which is 2 years, 5 properties, and get them completely paid off in 7 years. Right? And your thought was, what if I took that simple concept, combined that with house hacking? Now it's like basically you have a massive growth strategy with your house hacking strategy. And that's exactly what you've done, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So let's kind of explain that a little bit. So the first property that you bought was a 4 unit.
Correct.
What did you go to? What was your second property?
So second property was another 4 unit, correct? This time happened to be in a different town.
Okay, so then we added kind of 3 different concepts to it, right? Those are a little bit high level concepts, but basically that not only do you need to have cash flow, because you had cash flow, but you were missing the other 2 pieces.
Correct.
Right? you didn't quite understand that you can buy a property with a ton of equity, with massive amount of cash flow, and then the third tier of investing, which is the DCR, right? Debt coverage ratio. And now, mind you, for people that are watching, this is going to be a lot of information, right? But those, you had to do 257, which is be able to pay off 5 properties in 7 years. You needed to have the cash flow right, the ratios of your equity right, and your DCRs had to be right. And you combine the two strategies. So the second property was a 4 flat also?
Correct.
Okay.
Second property was 4 flat. What I did was between year 1 and year 2, I came to mastery and I had 4 more houses.
4 more houses. So
Correct.
You basically bought the 4 unit, then you bought 4 more houses, and then you buy another 4 unit building. And how many properties do you have right now?
I have 10 properties right now, mix of 2 to 4 flats, house hacking, and then the 257 style.
Got it. So 10 properties, 25 total doors, right, in the 10 properties, and all of this you've accomplished in what amount of time?
18 months.
18 months, okay. And what is that net cash flow wise right now for you?
$7,000.
$7,000 a month.
Correct.
Right? So for the year, right, you're doing pretty good.
Sure.
Right? I mean, he's looking at me as if like I have to think about it. No, but I mean, you have ideas, right? Which is that 7,000 for you is not enough.
Correct.
Right? I mean, knowing how cheap this guy is, he can live pretty well on it, but you have a lot bigger goals and ambitions, honestly, right? Okay. Where does that drive come from?
Drive comes from, I've been in the country for 7 years now. Drive comes from my roots in India. We as immigrants have always, have limited resources, correct? So when I came to this whole concept of investing, I could see the scale and I could see the wealth that I could achieve in the next 10 years.
Okay. So do you have friends here? Do you have other people here before you kind of started hanging around us and the whole thing that think the way you do?
Probably not. Chicago RIA is where it all started, went on to the mastery, and now these are the results I got.
Okay. So what do you say to that person that, I mean, today, like the numbers you're talking about, right, in a very short amount of time, and I'll never forget because when you started, you were like, man, does this really work? Right? Remember those days, right? Because you tried to go and talk to everybody. And what was the fear at that time? Because today it's like, oh my God, I know this. It's just a matter of how quickly I can grow, right? What was the fear at that time?
Fear was basically, I didn't know much about it, correct? Right. Ignorance to me is not bliss, correct? So that was the fear.
Okay, because you're not a guy who likes to lose money,
correct?
Right? Knowing you, if you go to lunch with this guy, you're paying, right? Doesn't matter how much money he has, but as much we're friends, we kid around, but truly, right? You're passionate about what you do, and you're doing this. A part of it to me is not necessarily it's about the money, it's just that you want to push the limits, correct?
Correct. It's about pushing the limits and it's about building long-term generational wealth, correct? That's my whole goal and motto.
Okay, got it.
Of investing.
And so right now you are what, 35, 34?
35.
35. So where do you see you and your wife by the time you're 40 years old?
By the time I'm 40, 45 years old, I see, probably 100 rentals between my wife and I. I think that's possible in today's Chicagoland market.
Okay. And now, mind you, you have thought about things like, oh, I'm going to go big. I want to do multi-units, all kinds of ideas like that are running through your head, like happens to most investors. Why did you just focus, at least for now, on single families and 3 to 4 flats? What is the reason behind that?
Correct. So 3 concepts, correct? Massive cash flow. I think houses, condos, and 2 to 4 flats bring you massive cash flow. Equity position, at least 25% equity in each property, and then the debt service coverage ratio.
Okay. So those were 3 things that you've kind of focused on, right?
Correct.
And just following those basic 3 rules, right? Combining that with the strategies you combined, house hacking, right? Which we call house hacking Chicago style, right?
Correct.
So just doing that, I mean, without a question, you can make $35,000, $40,000 per month, right? Within a matter of 3 years, right? 3 to 4 years flat out, you can get to that point, right? What do you say to that person that maybe watches this, hears this, like, oh my God, is this possible for me? Because do I have to have a lot of money? Because in the total 10 properties that you have, how much money do you have out of pocket?
None, correct? None.
Hold on. So let me explain this, right? So you're using that concept, which is you buy the property, you rehab the property, you rent the property out, and then you refinance it, right? Which a lot of people know that as the BRRRR method, right? And the difference, what he has done, which is kind of what the philosophy we follow is, BRRRR is phenomenal. It's a great method. But what you need to have is, you need to have equity in every single property. 25 to 30%. Just because you have $1,000 cash flow doesn't mean it's a great property. If you have 25% equity and then you have $1,000 cash flow, that makes it good. And then there's a third thing that we always want, and that is
debt service coverage ratio.
Right, which is DCR, meaning if your goal is to retire from real estate, guys, it's not just, you're not just buying properties for the sake of buying properties. If you truly want to build wealth and retire, the only way that happens is if you do the DCR formula, which is 1.33 debt coverage ratio. Now my question is this, man. A lot of people come around Chicago RIA. We have a ton of membership. We have over 700 people in Mastery with 8,000 plus properties, right? But you were kind of in that group of people that just got it and you just took off, right? When did it finally hit you? Because I'll never forget, you showed up at 8, 10, 12 meetings and you were kind of like a deer in the headlights. Was that from the very first meeting? When did that really start going that, oh my God, I can work this?
So it all struck me when I was doing these mastery classes, this 2 to 3 months long program. One concept that stuck me was 2-5-7. How do you buy 2 years? You buy 5 properties, get them all paid off in 7 years.
And that's it.
Correct.
You've kept it that simple.
Correct.
Got it. Okay. So for most people, right, where would you say that they should start? Is it by showing up to one of our meetings? Do they look for information online? What is the right direction that you would channel somebody in?
Correct. I would say start with the Chicago RIA meeting on house hacking, Chicago style, correct? And look at the different concepts behind house hacking, Chicago style, and then take it to the next level.
Got it. From the bottom of my heart, Ben, right? Congratulations, right? Your wife is not here, but congratulations to her as well, because what you guys have, and she has been immensely supportive to you.
Correct.
Right? In this whole journey. So you have a full-time job. You're buying properties Chicago style, right? The house hacking Chicago style, all this time, and I could wish you nothing but continued success in the future, right?
Thanks, Andrew.
So congratulations, bud.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you so much.